So Coinbase are fighting the SEC, and this is how. We have a new statement coming out from the CEO of Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, and he talks about what could potentially be happening in 2024 and with regards to the SEC and how they can resolve it. Now we have very important news about a Senator Bombshell, and it's a letter from Elizabeth Warren. We're going to take a look as to what she has said. Of course, she has been pushing her own agenda, so let's have a look at that. We do have some good news from the Chief Legal Officer of Ripple, Stuart, talking about how we have gained another license in another country. And of course, we will be looking at the price action for XRP and XLM coin. All I ask from you are two things, which is to smash that like button and to subscribe to the channel as well. So the first bit of big news that we have is, of course, the Coinbase and SEC, and Coinbase are now taking them to court. If you are not informed about this, the SEC have actually charged Coinbase for operating as an unregistered securities exchange, and the SEC have denied the recent petition by Coinbase a few days ago that they proposed. And so let's take a look at the new development from Brian Armstrong.
See, Congress is one thing, Brian. Would support in that branch of the government be enough to leapfrog what's happening on the agency level? Take the SEC, for example, lawsuits and what frankly really feels like animosity lately between that agency, at least, and Coinbase. Would congressional support be enough to offset that?
You know, Congress could certainly help here. You're correct that we have not seen a very cooperative SEC. There's been a request for clear rules. You know, Coinbase filed a formal petition to see some clear rules in the crypto industry on the areas of the law where it's not clear. And unfortunately, the SEC has been unwilling to do that. So we've asked a judge to compel them to respond to that. I think in the absence of the SEC acting, what we can see happen is Congress can go pass new legislation. And this is what we've seen 83% of the rest of the G20 countries go and do already. So the U.S. is actually kind of a little bit behind here. So Congress could act, the CFTC could step in, or the voters in 2024 could really send a clear message.
And now with regards to this, we have recently covered before, just yesterday, that there will be roughly between $70 to $75 million that will be going into funding for pro-crypto candidates, and that's to ensure that we will be able to get pro-crypto candidates within Congress and to actually push cryptocurrency. Unfortunately, the US is one of the countries that are basically behind right now compared with other countries that have more clarity and that are actually supporting crypto in general. Now we know that when the petition happened by Coinbase, Gary Gensler came out saying that the existing rules have already governed cryptocurrency and that there doesn't need to be any sort of change. If we can have this extra funding, it should somewhat give Congress a bit more of a push so that they can support crypto. And actually here it says a combined $78 million, and that's for the Crypto Super PAC network for the funding. Now let's have a look at the letter by the Senator Elizabeth Warren, and you'll see over here she has demanded the Blockchain Association to expose information on ex-military and government hires. Now, within this letter, I'm not going to read all of it word by word. She says to address the role of cryptocurrency in financing Hamas and other terrorist organizations. And then she goes on to talk about what has happened in October. And she basically says that crypto exchanges have allowed these terrorist organizations to use cryptocurrency and allow money to flow whilst all of this is happening. And then she goes on to say that in response to these concerns, a number of members of Congress have introduced legislation to address gaps in the anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism frameworks that bad actors use crypto to exploit. Now we know that Elizabeth Warren has been challenging this for quite some time now, and it is quite frustrating. But in regards to this bill, I'm not quite sure as to what this bill would actually prevent, and why would so-called terrorist organizations even follow what the US government are saying and their regulation when it doesn't even apply to them at all, considering the fact they are in a completely different country with their own rules and regulations and laws in general. And I believe that the US have no power or say to even do that. But again, you can see over here that she keeps using the same argument with the anti-money laundering and criminal activities. But why don't we take a look at the percentage of the criminal transactions that are done in the US dollar and compare that to how much is done in cryptocurrency, and I bet you that you'll see infinitely more criminal activities using the dollar compared to crypto. And more so, never mind these terrorist organizations, how about the banks that have engaged in criminal activities but the government somewhat turn a blind eye, or they only give them a fines and then they let them continue trading. And they also can't just shut down cryptocurrency itself, right? Crypto itself has been around for quite some time now. Bitcoin and all other altcoins will still be trading. I'm sure that people like us will be able to find other ways to purchase it and bypass any restrictions that they will impose on us later on in the future if that happens. And crypto has already gone mainstream, and I think that's what they are forgetting here, right? Millions and millions of people are holding cryptocurrency across the world, and and it's a train that has already left the station. Because the fact of the matter is that most people are not going to give up their cryptocurrency that they hold without a fight, and we can see it happening as well with the banks closing down, where you can't even access your own cash. And so why would we get rid of our only alternative cryptocurrency when we could potentially have that to save us? And a lot of these politicians, whether you are on the left or right, don't have our best interests at heart. The majority of money laundering is done by banks, and guess who bail them out? Well, it's the government themselves. And before we have a look at the good news for Ripple today, as well as a price action, let's just take a look at these banks and what they have done. You can see over here that JP Morgan Chase & Co. have agreed to pay $920 million in connection with schemes to defraud precious metals and US Treasury markets. And defrauding, what does that mean? Well, it means to con someone out of money. And this is coming from the Office of Public Affairs on the Department of Justice website. And it was related to two distinct schemes to defraud. The first involving tens of thousands of episodes of unlawful trading in the markets for precious metals future contracts, and the second involving thousands of episodes of unlawful trading in the markets for US Treasury future contracts. So again, tell me how $1 billion that JP Morgan have committed is not fraud and is only exclusive to cryptocurrency. The banks are one of the major criminals that we have in the world, but again, they are the ones that always seem to get away with it. Now, let's have a look at the good news for Ripple. You can see over here they announced 7 hours ago that they are honored to be added to the central bank's list of registered virtual asset service providers, allowing us to provide digital asset services within Ireland. So Stuart has stated that capping off incredible momentum in 2023 with the central bank, so that is the Central Bank of Ireland, approving Ripple as a registered VASP to offer compliant crypto services. And don't forget again, they also have received another license from Dubai earlier on within the year. That's really good news, as we are only securing more licenses, and it seems like as if we are getting quite a lot of support from overseas as well as compared with the USA. Now let's have a look at the price action for today. For XRP, we are currently trading at 0.6175. We are up by 1.2% on the 1-day chart. For the volume, we are up by 6.29%, and we are trading at $1.2 billion. Now, as you can see on the 1-day chart, where we are currently trading in the beginning hours was at around about 0.605 with $1.13 billion in volume. The highest that we actually went today was 62 cents at 0.6213, and we have only come down by a little bit. And you can see over here we have now climbed up by a little bit, especially after that massive dip that we had on the 18th. Let's see if XRP coin can hit 63 cents. For Stellar XLM coin, we are currently trading at 0.122. We are up by 0.5% on the 1-day chart. Our volume is up by 5%, and we are trading at $79.5 million. In the earlier hours of the day, you can see over here that we were currently trading at 0.1197. We did go to a very small dip at 0.1191. However, we managed to reach a peak of the day, which is where we currently are right now. On the 7-day chart, we are up by 0.84%. Again, we saw that dip. You can see over here that we actually hit the same price on the 19th, and when we saw that same dip, but we managed to bounce back up. For Stellar XLM coin, let's see if we can get to 13 cents in the short term. Guys, if you want daily XRP and XLM coin news, subscribe to the channel and like the video as well.